12 o'clock noon, divers' evidence continues. PC Thackeray described the scene of the riverbank where Nicola was last seen. He used a series of photographs to point out the location and the bench where Nicola's phone was found. He said, "These pictures were taken to try to show the slope down the banking towards the river itself. The images showed two areas of sloping, with the second much steeper than the first." PC Thackeray said that although the river level was higher than normal, there was around a 1-meter drop the day Nikki went missing. 12:02 p.m. Difficult to get out of the water there. PC Thackeray described a man-made river wall, constructed of large square bricks, on the corner of the river. He said he presumed it was there to prevent the river banking worn away. The coroner asked, if you were in the water and trying to climb out, would it be possible to find a foothold on the bricks? PC Thackeray replied, no, not at all. It's very difficult to get out of the water here. The coroner asked, if you have fallen and gone over the edge of the steep section, are you going to stop before you hit the water? PC Thackeray replied, no. You would just go into the water. The distance between where Nicola was last seen and her body was found was around 1.5 miles, PC Thackeray said. He added, there is nothing to grab hold of to help yourself back out. 12:04 p.m., water temperature was 4 degrees Celsius. PC Thackeray said that the temperature of the water when Nicola went missing was 4 degrees Celsius. A video from PC Thackeray's bodycam, filmed on Tuesday, April 4, 2023, showed him swimming down the river from the bench to where Nicola's body was found. The video shows PC Thackeray starting from the bench, making his way down the banking and climbing into the water. On the floor of the river, a pile of large rocks with sharp edges could be seen. The inquest was told that the river is about 4 meters deep at this point. PC Thackeray said, if you're not used to it, then entering water at that temperature would lead to cold water shock. It causes you to gasp and causes your muscles to seize up. 12:07 p.m., awfully long time in very cold water. PC Thackeray explained that the riverbed does eventually slope up, but it is approximately 40 meters downstream from where Nicola is believed to enter the water. He estimated that she would have floated downstream at about 1 meter a second. PC Thackeray said it would have been 2 to 3 minutes before the river would bring you to the first point where a person could climb out. The coroner said, that's an awfully long time in very cold water. 12:24 p.m., PC Thackeray's evidence continues. PC Thackeray was asked about his experiences of deaths by drowning where the water depth is sufficient to be able to stand up. He said, I have attended a number of deaths where the water is chest deep and with a flat bottom with no flow to the water. You could avoid drowning by keeping calm and standing up, however, it doesn't happen like that when you suddenly enter cold water. You gasp and you breathe in water, and these drownings could have been prevented if they had kept calm and kept your head above the water, but it's never that simple. In this case you can't put your foot down, the river was moving, and even if you got to the point of safety it's difficult to climb out. 12:30 p.m., if you fall into cold water, float. Sophie Cartwright KC, the barrister representing Nicola's family, has asked PC Thackeray some questions. He said advice, if you fall into cold water, is to float. He said, if you try to swim you are impaired, your muscles seize and you tire very quickly. 12:34 p.m., experts giving evidence together. Professor Mike Tipton from the University of Portsmouth and Dr. Paddy Morgan jointly produced a report looking at the mechanism by which a person dies from drowning, and are giving evidence together. Professor Tipton has published more than 750 papers on the physiological response to extreme environments such as cold water. Dr. Morgan is a consultant anaesthetist and a medical director for HM Coast Guard. He said that he and Professor Tipton lead the world in terms of expertise. 12:45 p.m., 2 breaths of water, a lethal dose, for Nicola Bulley. Professor Michael Tipton has told the inquest that 2 breaths of water would have been a lethal dose for Nicola. He said, "We estimate the temperature would have been around 3 to 5 C in the River Wyre, so there would be a particularly powerful cold shock response. For somebody of Nicola's size, it would have taken 1 or 2 breaths in of water to be a lethal dose." 12:46 p.m. Entering such water is a painfully cold experience. Professor Tipton was asked how a person would psychologically respond to entering cold water. He said, "You are absolutely preoccupied with the challenge you are being presented with. Those first seconds in the water, people really aren't considering anything else. We have heard people talk about routes to grab onto and points of safety, but you would not be thinking about that. You are preoccupied with attempting to hold your breath and get back to the surface. There is no normal, logical cognition going on. You are absolutely distracted, and entering such water is a painfully cold experience." 12:53 p.m. Ms Bulley would have lost consciousness in matter of seconds, inquest told. Professor Tipton said at the temperature the River Wyre was on the day Ms Bulley went missing, a person would lose consciousness within around 25 seconds. He added, "It is very rapid incapacitation." He explained that it is not solely the exchange of water and oxygen that leads to a person drowning. He added that as well as taking up space in the lungs normally filled with oxygen, the water damages the lungs, the alveoli are collapsing. 1:01 p.m. Ms Bulley would only have been able to hold her breath for 1 or 2 seconds. Dr. Morgan said that if someone had taken an initial gasp from the cold water shock and then goes underwater, the length of time they would be able to hold their breath is 10 seconds at best and most likely 1 to 2 seconds. He says that when the lung damage and or the amount of water inhaled gets to a certain point, the heart will stop pumping and the brain switches off. Professor Tipton says that if Nikki had fallen in where it is suggested, then there is a very good chance that the initial gasp would have happened under the water, which meant unconsciousness would have been far quicker. 1:03 p.m. Ms Bulley would have died in less than 10 seconds, says expert. Professor Tipton said, "In my opinion, given the nature of the likely entry into the water, at speed down a steep slope, I think Nikki had a gasp response under the water which initiated the drowning response very quickly. She would have died in less than 10 seconds. 1:03 p.m. Inquest adjourned for lunch. The inquest has adjourned for lunch.